Hey, folks, I'm Tito, Jeff Thitoff. Follow me on Twitter, @ThitHappens. Guess what the name of the show is? It's the Jeff Thitoff Show. Follow me again on Twitter, @ThitHappens, THIT happens. Lots to get into today. Let's start off talking with the Hall of Fame and the Bill Belichick situation. Now, it has come out, obviously, the Bill Belichick. Now, first of all, let me say this first. No official results have been released. Reports out there, they sound like they're probably credible, but I'm just saying they haven't announced the final results on the voting for the Hall of Fame. There already been a report out that Eli Manning did not get in again. He is the second. He's the second two-time Super Bowl winning quarterback to not be in the Hall of Fame. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But let's start off talking about this Bill Belichick thing. So he needed 80% of the votes from that Veterans Committee. And there's 5 people on the ballot. There's 5 people. It was Bob Kraft, Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, Belichick, L.C. Greenwood, longtime Steeler great, Ken Anderson, longtime Bengals quarterback, and Roger Craig, Super Bowl winning running back for and I believe maybe I don't know what time MVP of the Super Bowl or not. But anyway, for the running back for the San Francisco 49ers during the Montana and Walsh and that era there. So you could vote for 3. So there's 150 possible spots you could be in. And you need to be named on 80% of them. 80%, you need 80%, you need 40 to 50 is what you needed to get. Belichick fell short. We don't know how close it was. And although I'm surprised, you shouldn't, it's an imperfect system the way they do it, just like it is with baseball. And if you're going to have an imperfect system, you're going to have imperfect results. We all can have different opinions. You think how long the Baseball Hall of Fame has been around? 1936, I believe, was the first class. In all that time, we've all seen, we've all heard of, we've all talked to people who saw great players that we didn't get to see. Some fantastic Major League Baseball players. Only one, Mariano Rivera, has got 100% of the vote. Babe Ruth didn't get 100% of the vote. Jeter didn't. Ichiro didn't. Johnny Bench didn't. Like, think of all these great Willie Mays, Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio. Think about all these guys that have played Major League, Hank Aaron, all these fantastic players that played Major League Baseball. And every single one of them that got in had at least one person say, nah, I'm not feeling it. There are certain people you look at in football and you say, that guy's a Hall of Famer. There is no doubt in my mind that guy is. But for some reason, someone has another opinion. It could be personal. It could be because of the voting process. I'll talk about that in just a moment too. But the basketball, I shouldn't say pro, because it's the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame that covers college and pro both. Covers all of it. International, covers everything. Olympics, covers all of that. It's all encompassed there. They don't tell you how the voting goes. They don't tell you the threshold and how close somebody did or did not get in. That's all sealed. You don't get it. But I promise you, when it comes time for LeBron James in the Hall of Fame vote, he will not be a unanimous pick. Someone's always going to be different than you. You and I can both sit here and say, yes, we know LeBron James will be Hall of Famer. There'll be somebody, I think, involved in the process who would say, you know what, for whatever reason, he tried to control too much of the teams, or he'll get in. He'll get in on his first try, no doubt about it. I'm not saying he won't, but it would not surprise me at all if there's a dissenter. And if you're going to give people a chance to be dissenters, there's going to be things like this are going to happen. This is egregious. I agree. But if one person doesn't think Hank Aaron is a Hall of Famer in baseball, why can't 2 people think that? Why can't 3 people think that? Same thing here. If one person in that room thought Belichick, what I'm going to say is should not be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is stupid. But then why can't someone else believe? If one person is convinced that Belichick, the Spygate thing is a big deal, and he didn't win without Tom Brady. If someone feels that way, then more than one person could feel that way. And that's some of the things we've heard. We've heard that he was penalized for Spygate. We've heard he was penalized because he was not nice to the media in some ways. We've heard that it's, the Brady thing. We've heard all these things kind of silently about Belichick. He should be a Hall of Famer. He will be a Hall of Famer. The one writer in Kansas City, he came out. He's the only writer I've heard so far come out and say why he did not vote for Bill Belichick. His reasoning was this. In this committee, you can only vote for 3 names on the ballot. And his thinking was, I'm not going to vote for Belichick because he's going to be on the ballot again next year. He'll get in. But L.C. Greenwood, Ken Anderson, Roger Craig, if they don't get in now, they're not getting in. And so he didn't say he voted against Belichick. He just said he voted for these 3 guys. And that's logical. That makes sense. There's no way it's going to be perfect when you come to these votes. I brought up this idea earlier today. And I think it's either stupid or brilliant. If you want to follow me on Twitter, reach out to me on Twitter @ThatHappened. You can tell me if it's brilliant or stupid. I think that every year, the Hall of Fame should announce if there's anybody in this Belichick range. Say, let's say the Belichick range. We'll do that. The Hall of Fame, before all the voting starts, they come out and say, Bill Belichick is a Hall of Famer. Now we're going to vote on everybody else. When Tom Brady comes up, Tom Brady is a Hall of Famer. We're going to vote on everybody else. Some years there won't be anybody. Some years there might be 3 guys. There's no reason to vote on Peyton Manning. No reason to vote on Emmitt Smith. No reason to vote on the greatest players and coaches of all time. And I know it's not perfect, and it sounds a little crazy because now you have another committee, another group, or whatever, another person who is determining, okay, these guys, it's not up for debate. It's a bit wacky. I get it. But it would be better than this because Belichick is a Hall of Famer, and he's not in because either people held Spygate against him, which I understand if you want to do that. They wanted to get these other guys in because Belichick can go in later. Okay. Or they held a personal grudge against Belichick, which I don't approve of that. So my idea, yes, it's a bit crazy. Sometimes when I first thought of it, I thought it was great. Then I thought it was stupid. Now I'm not really sure. Have the Hall of Fame anoint anybody who they think is not up for debate. This guy's a Hall of Famer. They're in. No vote. And then do voting for everybody else. All right. I talked about Eli Manning. Eli Manning, if he does not get in, again, he will remain the second quarterback with 2 Super Bowl wins as a starting quarterback to not get into the Hall of Fame. And I think Eli gets in eventually. And it's just, you've got to balance how important are the Super Bowl wins versus regular season performance. Eli Manning, very mediocre regular season. I think he had a 500 record, if I'm not mistaken. That's a regular season starter. But had great plays in the Super Bowl. Big moments. Beat the undefeated Patriots. Fantastic moments in the Super Bowl. Outside of those Super Bowl and those 2 playoff runs, though, he wasn't a Hall of Famer then. And you balance that up against like a guy like Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers much better statistically than Eli, but never even got to the Super Bowl. Rivers better quarterback. Manning, Hall of Famer, though. The other quarterback with 2 Super Bowl wins as a starting quarterback that is not in is Jim Plunkett. Jim Plunkett had a very he was a bust coming out of Stanford. I think he started with San Francisco and then New England and San Francisco, one or the other, before getting picked up kind of off the scrap heap by the Raiders to be a backup for them. And I think it was Mark Wilson, if I'm not mistaken, was the starter out of BYU and got hurt for Oakland when Plunkett then got to start. Plunkett led them to 2 Super Bowls. His numbers throughout the games he played, the regular season, were never eye-popping, but he won 2 Super Bowls. If you're of the belief that the Super Bowl wins trump all, then Plunkett and Eli should both be in. I don't think Eli Manning's a Hall of Fame quarterback, but I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame. it's hard to say about Plunkett because I love his story. His parents were both of his parents were blind growing up. Well, they were still blind throughout the life. But anyway, both of his parents were blind. So I find myself rooting for someone like Plunkett a little more, maybe. And so, but if one gets in, they both need to get in. If they put Eli in someday, damn it, put Plunkett in as well. All right. 2 coaching jobs open right now. We talked 2 coaching jobs open out in the NFL, the Raiders and Cardinals. They both seem to be waiting on the Seahawks offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, to hopefully they'll both try to court him to see if they can get him. The Seahawks, by the way, according to Adam Schefter, are going to be sold, put on the selling block. Is that what you say? They're going to be sold after the Super Bowl and could fetch like a $7 or $8 billion return on that one. So the Seahawks going up, and we'll talk more about this next week, though the Super Bowl will break into that more. Todd Monken was named head coach of the Cleveland Browns. And not that I think no matter who the Browns would have selected, I think Browns fans would be like, I mean, unless they got Tomlin or Harbaugh, which didn't ever seem like it was going to happen. They had so many people coming through that interviewed and then withdrew from consideration. So is Todd Monken a consolation prize? Probably. He did say, though, that he was excited to work with Shedeur Sanders. He said that when he was in Baltimore last year as their OC, they wanted to draft Shedeur Sanders. So he's all excited about this. By the way, Shedeur Sanders, now a Pro Bowler. That's right. Shedeur Sanders, Pro Bowler. So now Todd Monken is going to coach a Pro Bowl quarterback in Cleveland. The Browns, for how bad they were this year, actually had 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks on their roster because Joe Flacco was named to the Pro Bowl now as well. He's 41 years old, 18 seasons. This is his first time getting to the Pro Bowl. So Joe Flacco in the Pro Bowl, as is Shedeur Sanders, which goes to tell you how big of a joke the Pro Bowl is. Something else I saw at college football. John Summerall, the new head football coach in Florida, is doing something that I know Urban Meyer did it. It just seems hacky to me. He's making all the gear that the Gators are wearing does not have Gator logos. The logos are gone. He said, this is a quote from, I think, an On3 Sports story. "You got to earn the logo, man. We ain't earned it yet. We haven't earned a damn thing." Urban did something like that. You see it sometimes. I don't know if it really, I'd have to talk to a player, but if that is what gets you motivated, a damn logo, there's something wrong there. You should be motivated just with pride. Motivated by the fact that you fell flat on your face last year. Motivated by the fact that Florida's become a joke. Be motivated by that. You shouldn't need a logo. You shouldn't need to chase a logo. Chase success. Chase tomorrow. You don't need this logo thing. I hate it when coaches do stupid stuff like this. I don't know if it's going to make a difference or not for the Florida Gators. You know, make a difference? Better coaching, better execution. That makes a difference for Florida. Not if the logo's on their helmet or not. Take all the stripes off Ohio State's helmets. They're still going to be damn good. Why? Because they're well coached. They've got a good culture. Same thing with Indiana. Take the IU off the helmet. You think they're going to suck all of a sudden? No. Build the culture with coaching, accountability, trust. That's how you build it. So I'm not, look, it's gimmicky. I get it. I get why he does. I get why coaches do this, but it just doesn't resonate with me. All right, let's switch over to the NBA real quick here. The Golden State Warriors are trying to get the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they have the best offer they could probably make. Now, I know Giannis wants to go to has stated about going to the Knicks. Maybe wants to go to Miami. But Golden State's got the most to offer. They could offer 4 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps, in addition to some young players like Kuminga. They would have to include Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green in the deal. It wouldn't make much sense, in my opinion, to include Draymond Green in the deal. Not that Draymond Green is better than Jimmy Butler. He's certainly not, but he's available right now, and Butler's out for the rest of the season. So I would pitch that idea. The Warriors can, if they're going to make this deal, they've got to convince the Bucks to take Butler and all these picks. And then that will give them a shot. I don't know if it's going to be enough to push them over the top. You still need to stay healthy. And especially Curry and Giannis need to stay healthy. But it gives them a chance, at least, at making one last run. Now, Giannis has another year on his deal, I believe. He'll want a max deal, and he's still younger than Steph, younger than Draymond. So maybe you can start rebuilding there. You get Giannis there. You're not going to be first-round picks, obviously, or very few first-round picks in there going forward. But once Steph and Draymond come off the books, all of a sudden you've probably got some money there in cap room, and you might get a damn good player who wants to go play with Giannis at Golden State and play for Steve Kerr as well. We'll see on that one. Trade deadline is next Thursday. All right, one last thing here. The Olympics get underway next week. Winter Olympics in Italy. And I wish I was more excited about the Olympics. There are certain things in sports, in life, but we're not going to go that deep right now. Certain things in sports that I wish I could be more excited about. And I don't know if it's just the fact that I'm getting older, the fact that I don't have the time to devote to it. I don't follow it as closely. When I was growing up, yes, long time ago, I remember the Miracle on Ice and what a huge deal that was. I remember the Dream Team, obviously, the LA Olympics, Carl Lewis and what he was able to do. Mary Lou Retton in '84. I remember all those moments and paid very close attention to it. And I just don't have the same juice for it anymore. I try. I'll watch the U.S. hockey team when they're playing, but I just don't follow enough of all the other sports throughout the year to get that excited about it. Hopefully some great stories emerge. We'll see. But I'm curious if you're excited about the Olympics. Do you follow the Olympics as closely as you did, say, 15 years ago in your life? Love to hear from you on that. I wonder about that. I wonder how much of it is still resonates with you as you get older. All right, that's it for this edition of the Jeff Thitoff Show. I thank you for tuning in. Make sure you follow me on Twitter @ThatHappens. Would love to hear from you. And we're back again soon. FanStream Sports, it's where you find all of our great content. Thanks for tuning in.